Hey guys, the Comics Kid 2099 here, and I'm here to talk to you about an X-Men book. New X-Men Childhood's End Book 4. This collects New X-Men issue 33 through 36, is written by Craig Kyle and Chris Yost, with art by Paco Medina and Duncan Rouleau. And this is really the first New X-Men story under this creative team that's its own story, because the first 3 volumes is one massive introductory arc that kind of is setting up the new status quo of, instead of there being many different small squads at the school, it's basically just one new X-Men team, and then all the other kids are just kind of hanging out there, and it was kind of setting up, okay, this is the new team, and these are some of the adversaries that they're going to be fighting. In this volume, which is influenced by the events of the previous storyline, the previous 12 issues, it's influenced by that, but it's its own story. Basically, we find out that before William Stryker was killed, that he hired this organization that was involved in creating X-23. He hired them to create basically this mutant bloodhound creature that will seek out mutants and kill them, and it will not stop until it kills every mutant. And that's basically what this volume is about. They kidnap Mercury, who you can see right here, and she's kind of been just a minor character in the New Mutants and New X-Men series ever since Christina Weir and Nunzio DePhillips, since their run. She's always just kind of been in the background. She hasn't been a very antagonistic character like how Hellion and Rockslide used to be when they were the antagonists of the New Mutant squad, but she was part of their squad. She was just kind of there. And she was kind of fleshed out a little bit in the New X-Men Hellions miniseries. Well, here, she is kidnapped by this organization that created X-23, and they take some of her metal. She's made out of liquid metal, a lot like the Terminator from Terminator 2. And they take some of her skin, her liquid metal flesh, and they implant it on these creatures that are called Predator X, and then one of them escapes. And that's about it. There's not a whole lot for me to talk about here. This is going to be a very short video. I did mention in one of my previous reviews of this series that Emma Frost is one of the worst people in the world. She continues to be pretty terrible here. Once again, she's telling X-23, hey, everyone here would be better if you left. And then Mercury catches her saying that, and she basically tells Emma, you are a terrible person, and every time you try to protect students, they end up dead. And a little harsh, but a little true, because Emma Frost has a very long list of students that were under her protection that are no longer alive. But Emma tries to justify her actions, saying that she doesn't actually hate X-23. She kind of understands where X-23 is coming from, but she, at the same time, is trying to protect all these other students. And then at the end of the book, she even does something that is very twisted, very cruel and unusual punishment for one of the villains, but at the same time, she's doing it out of a sort of sense of love and loyalty to X-23. So even though she's been a huge bully to X-23 throughout this whole run, she turns around and she does something very mean and very twisted to one of the bad guys. It's a very harsh punishment, in my opinion, but she does it out of kind of sense of justice for X-23. And so I like that. I feel like it shows that Emma Frost is a little bit more of a multifaceted character than what she was portrayed as being earlier in this series. This book also does rely pretty heavily on the previous X-23 miniseries by Kyle and Yost, and I haven't read either of those minis. So personally, I feel like this book still stands on its own without knowledge of those books, but if you have just been reading the new X-Men stuff and then you read this, you are going to be maybe a little bit confused. I don't even want to say confused, but you will understand that there are events that you are missing if you haven't read the X-23 books like me. I have not. But there is even a very small blink and you miss it reference to the NYX minis, that the first one, the one that X-23 was part of. There's even a very small reference to that. So I like that these guys are now starting to reference some other X-Men stories outside of their own run, although they did work on the X-23 miniseries, so they're sort of still referencing their own work. But overall, I think that this book is pretty okay, pretty uneventful. Not a whole lot happens here. It's only 4 issues, but we get some good character work with X-23 and Emma Frost. I really like what they both went through, and we even get to see some good stuff done with Mercury, who is just kind of there. Not really a likable or unlikable character before now. She was just kind of in the background, and I kind of like what we've got going on with her here. So pretty uneventful, in my opinion. It's good because it stands on its own. It's not part of a 12-part storyline like the previous 3 volumes, but it's not a super standout volume either. So those are my thoughts on New X-Men Childhoods in Book 4. Next week I'll be talking about Book 5, which is the final book in this run before this series crossed over with Messiah Complex. So look forward to that next week, and I will be doing some other videos throughout the week. So I will see you guys in the future. Have a great rest of the day.